Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, I'll be doing a debate review of the recent debate I had on historical reliability of Hadith with brethren of purity, who's the Shia. Uh, the entire debate was focused on one argument for Hadith reliability, basically the first stylometry argument for historical reliability of Hadith. In this video, this will be different from other debate reviews because I'm not going through the entire 1 hour 30 minutes debate and giving my thoughts as the video goes along. I simply don't have time for that. What I will do is I'll describe my argument, uh, and I will go into the contentions to my argument. I will give detailed references for the things I was mentioning in the debate, and I've given multiple academic studies for each of the points I was making in the debate in this presentation. I will also go through each of the contentions made by the Shia, and I will mention my responses to the contentions made by the Shia and the fact that he dodged almost every single response I gave in the debate. I might link some timestamps from the debate in the video description here, but I might not. Anyway, the things I'm saying can be easily verified by watching the debate. Moreover, the points that the Shia dodged, he did not just dodge them in the debate. When we were talking on Twitter, in our threads, he dodged them again. On his YouTube comments, I made the same points, he dodged them again. So this is something obvious. This is why I'm not going through the video point by point or minute, timestamp by timestamp. That's just a waste of time here. After this, I will go into some miscellaneous contentions regarding the stylometry argument for historical reliability of hadith. And lastly, after that, I will apply the same stylometry argument to a Shia book, Nahj al-Balagha, and then I will show why my position on Sahih Bukhari is actually superior, much superior than the Shia position on Nahj al-Balagha. I will also show that the argument I am using is an argument that's actually used by academics themselves on other works, but we can apply this on Sunni Hadith as well. So let's get started on the background and the argument. This debate was focused on the first stylometry argument for historical reliability of hadith. There are two stylometry arguments. This was focused on the first one. Stylometry is basically a method of linguistic analysis using statistics and computers, and it's widespread. It's widely used. It's used again and again. And to just see the evidence of it, go to Google Scholar and just type stylometry there, and you can see the sheer amount of papers and the research and on the wide variety of areas that stylometry is applied to. So this is not just something random that I picked up. Now, stylometry shows that the sayings of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in Sahih Bukhari have one source or one author or one speaker. Why is this evidence for hadith reliability? There is a very simple reason. These hadiths were narrated in numerous times and places and numerous regions. They were narrated in Kufa, Basra, Iraq, Sham, Damascus, Egypt, Makkah, Medina, Yemen, distant regions. If all those people who were narrating hadiths in all those regions were making these hadiths up, these would not have one speaker or one author. If these hadiths were coming from multiple people, they would not have one speaker or one author. The only way these narrations can have one author or speaker is if the narrators are honest and the narrations go back to one common person. The only common person is in all those isnads is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hence, these hadiths go back to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and are his words. The argument is pretty simple and clear cut. Now, I've debated this argument before and discussed it with Orientalists and their followers. Most of them have never tried to challenge the simple fact that stylometry shows these hadiths have one author, because it's so evident from the papers. The entire debate, this one centered around the Shia challenging this simple fact that stylometry shows hadiths have one author. and this is why I'm basically, this is the main reason I'm bothering to make this review video, to give multiple references to show, to back up my claims regarding stylometry. I will also, by the way, make this presentation available, like this will be public, so anyone can read the references, can check out the references from here, and so that there is no excuse on this topic. So what will this review focus on? This review will focus on giving multiple studies that show that stylometry shows that hadiths have one author. This review will also show independently that stylometry can work on independent Arabic text. There are multiple studies for this, and in some cases, stylometry can work on Arabic text on the same genre. This can be proven as well, and I'll give certain studies which specifically prove this point. Moreover, this review will also focus on the fact that stylometry can distinguish between different sets of hadiths. There are two, it can distinguish between Sahih and fabricated hadiths. I'll give references for this as well. Lastly, I will analyze all of the points dodged by the Shia in the debate and elsewhere, and I will point out those points again and the specific things that the Shia is dodging, and ask him to respond to those things. Then I'll end this debate review with a few other things as well. Now, if anyone watched the debate, right, just before I get into the references, let me just point out some shifting of goalposts that occurred in the debate. Early on, the Shia was claiming that the Quran and Hadith are not very different. When he got refuted on that, he changed his argument to saying that there are independent studies on the Quran but not on the Hadith, so my argument fails. When he got refuted on this, he started to argue that only the difference between Quran and Hadith are analyzed, but the characteristics of Hadith themselves, which is required for my argument, are not analyzed. When he got refuted on this, he changed his argument to the Hadiths are analyzed, but studies are not done which can analyze single authorship. When he got refuted on this, he started to argue that either the author is incompetent or that these studies are defective for some mysterious reason. So there was a lot of shifting of goalposts, and I'm not lying about this. Anyone who watched the debate can easily see this. This is not something controversial I'm saying here. So the first thing I'll focus is on the fact that stylometry shows that hadiths have one author. This is what's mainly required for this particular argument, or this is the first important thing that's required for my argument to work. All of these studies are done by one author, although there are some collaborators in some of these studies. Here's a bio of the author of these studies, Dr. Halim Sayoud. He's a full professor at this university in Algeria. He's a senior member of IEEE, which, if you can look it up, it's a very important international organization of electronics engineers. Like, you can search this up on Google and Wikipedia. This is not something controversial or wrong saying up, or you can just check out the website www.ieee.org. This is a major publication or major group of engineers. So this is not just some random nobody who's talking out of his mother's basement. These are some of his qualifications. He's the author and co-author of more than 100 scientific articles in conference proceedings, book chapters, scientific journals, etc. He's also the editor-in-chief of a scientific journal. You can check out his Google Scholar profile by clicking at this link. So he basically did 10 studies that I could find on this particular topic. I mentioned 9 earlier, but they are actually 10. This is the first study. This was conducted in 2010. I could not find this article. It was cited at times, so it's a real study. It existed, but I could not find the article anywhere. This is the second study in 2010. You can read the entire abstract. I won't read it here. I'll just read this results. The last part here. This study is linked here. Anyone can see it. The result of this investigation shed light on an old religious enigma, which has not been solved for 1500 years. Results show that these two books should have two different authors, meaning Quran has one author, Hadith has one author, and they are not the same author. All I need, or at least two different writing styles, and I'll get into the part about writing styles and authorship and similarities later. But this study is clearly showing that hadiths have one author. And by the way, for all of this, I've actually spoken with the this scholar. Like I have an email correspondence with him, and he knows of my work, and he said that I'm not misrepresenting him or anything. This is something that the Shia was claiming earlier in the debate, but when I pointed out that I have an email from him and I can show this, he never responded to this. So you can consider this the first thing that he dodged. Again, this is repeating these are further results that are mentioned in the study. I'll just read this. Firstly, there are probably two different classes which correspond to two different authors. Secondly, two investigated books appear to have different authors or at least two different writing styles. Thirdly, all the segments that have been extracted from a unique book should have a same author. What he's saying here, all the segments from the Hadith book should have one author, or one source, or one speaker. That is something I've been saying the entire time. This is the third study from this scholar. This was also published in 2012 on this topic, and again, the same results are present in this study. This study is from 2014. This is the fourth study he's doing here. Uh, he actually uses a lot of different testing methods that are used in stylometric analysis in all these studies. So it's not that he's running one test over and over again, he's using numerous different testing methods. You won't be able to find a PDF of this book for free. If anyone is interested, you can see the abstract and the paid version of this paper on this link that I've given here. This was published in an international IEEE conference. So I don't think anyone in their right mind can think that you can dismiss this easily. This is the fifth paper. This is something you can read for free. It's available, and this was also discussed in the debate. And again, it's saying the same thing, that Quran has one author, Hadith have one author, and they are not the same author. Here are the results. That might not be clear from this abstract, but the results from this study are clearly saying this clearly. The result shows that there are probably two authors, Quran author and Hadith author. Uh, and again, read from the second paragraph, showing that there are two main authors, the Quran author and the Hadith author, and the two authors are different. So here is a graph that was being discussed in the debate. This is a graph from this study. Basically, what they have done is measure the degree of similarity of the different segments of the Quran and the different segments of Hadith, and they placed them on a graph. All the red sections here are Quran paragraphs, Quran segments, and all the blue sections here are Hadith segments. If these were mixed up or in the same place, they would have one author. If they were different sets in numerous places, they would have many authors. But the fact that there is one main cluster of hadith that's very far from the one main cluster of the Quran shows that there are two authors, the Quran author and the hadith author. Here's one important point that I will mention here. If you see the Quran cluster here, all of those are very close to each other. If you see the hadith cluster, uh, you will see that 9 of them are extremely close to each other and one of them is slightly off, like it's far from the core of the hadith cluster. This is something that the Shia was using to argue that hadiths are extremely different from each other and that stylometry is not evidence in this regard. His claim does not work. Why? Because 9 out of 10 hadith segments are still extremely close to each other. Like you can, if this was we were going by percentage, 90% of hadiths are extremely similar, right? And 90, since the entire field of history is based on probability, there is no absolute certainty involved anywhere. 90% is still an excellent result. No one in their right mind is going to challenge this. Now, what the blue segments, the blue section of the text that is further from others is further of others. Can this be explained? by me. Yes, it can. The reason, the probable reason or the plausible reason for one cluster of one segment of these being different from all of the others, which are showing single authorship, is very simple. It could be the case the nine segments which are extremely close to each other contain hadiths which were narrated word for word by Muslims, and this disjointed cluster, disjointed segment that is further from all the others could have contained hadiths which were transmitted bil mana or in meaning only. There is nothing implausible about this. I brought this point in the debate as well, and the Shia never responded to it. So you can make this the second thing that the Shia dodged. There is a sixth study on this topic. Uh, again, this shows similar results. Uh, these are the same. You can read these points. This is the seventh study on this topic. This analyzed Quran and Hadith, and it analyzed some other Arabic religious texts as well. And so I will use this later on as well when I'm talking about whether stylometry can work on Arabic as well or not. Again, this study is giving similar results. This is another study on this topic. You won't be able to read, I think, this one as well, because it's in a conference and it's paid. You can pay for it and then read it. It's giving similar results. It's another study. uh, I am not sure if it's paid or free, but again, the abstract is published and again it's giving similar results. And this is another study on this topic giving similar results. Many of these you can read, many of these are free. All of these studies are peer-reviewed academics works. Sometimes these are published in international conferences, sometimes they are published in multiple journals. And these have been around for years and years, and they are doing numerous different tests. And all of them are showing that the hadith of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ have one author. So all of the basically claims from the Shia in this regard were garbage. Now, this was my first point in this debate, that stylometry is showing hadiths have one author. Now I made a second claim in the debate, that we can prove through numerous stylometric studies that stylometry can be proven to work on independent Arabic text and it would be able to distinguish authors. This is a claim I made in the debate. Uh, these studies, all of the studies that are given here, these are done on different Arabic texts. Some of these are on works of the same genre. It's mentioned there. These studies, Halim Sayoud has done 3 or 4 of these studies that I'm linking here, but 5 are from independent authors. So you can't just say that these are from one author. These are from numerous different authors. All of these studies show that stylometry can work in distinguishing Arabic texts of the same genre. Now, what my interlocutor, the Shia, did, he brought one study in stylometry or in Greek language that was having difficulty in distinguishing authors, right? And said that therefore stylometry is not evidence of anything in this in regard to hadith. He is bringing one Greek study to show that stylometry cannot work. I am bringing 9 Arabic studies, which has more relevance to whether hadith can be distinguished or whether stylometry can work on hadith or not. 9 Arabic studies on one Greek study. I made this point in the debate and he never responded to this, but I think everyone can see that what I'm saying is clear cut and obvious. Like, there is simply no way around this. This is the first study in this regard. I think this one is from Halim Saud. This shows 90% good results. Uh, the next one gives 96% good results. Again, all of these give good results, and if you read these papers, like, I think you can open this, I'm not sure, but all of these are showing that they are good results in this regard. This shows 93%, 97% authorship attribution. I think this one was like 80, but I could be wrong. Like, one of these studies was 80. Most of those were showing 90% good results, but I think this one I showed earlier as well. These studies, all of them studies are showing excellent results in showing that stylometry can work on Arabic text. More importantly on Arabic text on the same genre. This study was done on modern Arabic, taken from like Arabic tweets of people, and stylometry still works here as well. This study was done, I think this was on older text, or this was done on both Arabic tests and English tests. This was done in 2014. Again, this shows stylometry can work on Arabic texts. This is another study. This was done on works of 10 ancient Arabic philosophers, uh, and the genre of the study is the same. And again, it shows that stylometry can work on distinguishing between authors of different texts. So, stylometry can work in authorship attribution or authorship discrimination or stylometry in Arabic as well. These are 9 studies here. I've given 9 studies like I mentioned, and these prove my claim. If I spend time to research more studies, I'm pretty sure I can find some more as well. But these are more than enough to show that stylometry can work on Arabic text in identifying authors. Now, these were the two main claims. The Shia was challenging that stylometry does not show hadith have one author. He was saying that earlier, or it cannot show, and later he was saying that stylometry cannot work on Arabic. These two are done. Next thing was stylometry distinguishing between Sahih and Maudu hadith. There were two stylometric studies done on the comparison between Sahih and fabricated hadith. Why is this relevant? Here's a simple argument I made in the debate, and basically, this goes to a criteria that was brought forward from Orientalists themselves. The Orientalist claim, and that of many others, I think, I'm not sure if the Shia here was making this claim as well, but it seems he was hinting to it multiple times. The claim is that the reason stylometry is showing is that these hadiths, Sahih hadiths, have one author is because the fabricators of the hadiths fabricated them in one linguistic style. Let's suppose this is true and that fabricators can fabricate hadiths easily in one linguistic style. If this is the case, then both the Sahih hadiths, the hadiths that are graded as authentic by Muslims, and the fabricated hadiths, those hadiths that are graded as fabricated by Muslims, Sunni Muslims, should be stylometrically similar. Why? Because both of their sets of the authors of both sets of hadiths were fabricating hadiths in one unique linguistic style, and if it's easy to do so, or if they were successful, they should these hadiths should be stylometrically similar. But that is not the case. These hadiths are extremely different stylometrically, and therefore this shows that the Sahih hadiths are not a result of fabrication and hence are authentic. These two studies, they remove the possibility of fabrication of Sahih hadiths in a linguistic style. Why is this relevant? I will get into a contention to this argument from the Shia later, but why is all of this relevant? Here's why it's relevant. In my correspondence with Joshua Little, who's a popular Orientalist scholar, who's someone that even the Shia Brethren of Purity takes from, he said that for stylometry to be evidence for historical reliability of hadith, stylometry has to be able to distinguish between Sahih and fabricated hadith. He said this to me in my correspondence, and he hints at this in his thread as well, which I will link in the video description. I think I might have linked it in this presentation as well. So this is a criteria for this argument to work that is given from Orientalist scholars themselves. Guess what? Stylometry can distinguish between authentic and fabricated hadiths. So keep this in mind, because Brethren of Purity, or the Shia I was debating, he was finding a lot that this argument is weak, right? This argument is not weak. It's extremely powerful, and we can objectively know how powerful it is. Why? Because it meets the criteria that was set by the opponents of this argument, the Orientalists themselves. That is how powerful this argument is, and that's why there is no way around this argument. Now, I will get into some miscellaneous points regarding this entire topic. First thing I want to address: are Quran and Hadith different or not, and do Hadiths have one unique linguistic style or not? It is actually widely recognized by both Muslims and non-Muslim scholars that Quran and Hadith are extremely linguistically different. This is not controversial. It is also recognized by both Muslims and Orientalist scholars that Hadith, Sunni Hadith, at least give an appearance of a unique linguistic style. This is not something I'm making it up, and all of this was known before stylometric studies were even done on the Hadith. If you want a proof of this, I'll give one proof of this. This is a thread from Joshua Little that I've linked here, right? The link here. You can read this. He mentions this point, and he also, I think, he gives an article or a video from Jonathan Brown, who's an Western Islamic scholar, he's a respected Islamic scholar in the West. He also points out that this fact of Hadith having a unique linguistic style is extremely well known. Moreover, many Muslim scholars or people who have done Hadith know about this fact as well. And I'll give one simple example of this. Many of you have heard stories of Hadith scholars who have studied or read so many Hadiths that they can identify what is the saying of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and what's not. How are they doing that? They are only doing, and this is without isnad or without apparent contradictions in the Hadith or obvious anachronisms. How can all those scholars, Muslim scholars, do that? They can do that because Hadiths have one unique linguistic style, or at least an appearance of a unique linguistic style. It's prevalent in the Hadith. So here's the thing, that argument that I am presenting, it's not something I just pulled out of thin air. This is something that has a wide precedence. And just to make a further point in this regard, there are two stylometric arguments stylometry arguments for Hadith reliability. This entire debate is on the first one. This argument has actually precedence among in history among Muslims and non-Muslims, that at least it's recognized as something that's there. The second argument is something I came up with myself, and maybe we'll go into a later video on that. So actually, this graph is from earlier. I already mentioned that there was a contention the Shia was making that Sahih Hadiths are different from each other. I think I've addressed this before, so I don't need to go over this again. There was another study from contention from the Shia. His contention was that there are certain studies, stylometric studies, which analyze the Quran alone. An example of this is a study by Benham Sadeghi, an Orientalist scholar. His study just analyzed the Quran, not the Hadith. The contention the Shia is making that there are no studies like this which analyze just the Hadith. This is false for two reasons. One, there are studies on authentic and fabricated Hadiths which are analyzing just the Hadith. Secondly, there is a logical problem here. Why cannot a study analyze both the Quran and Hadith? Like, why does a study can be evidence if it's just analyzing Hadith? Why can't it be study if it does a detailed analysis on both Quran and Hadith? Like, this is a subjective contention which is garbage. My interlocutor never responded to it. He just changed his argument, which is what he does when he gets refuted. Now we go into one of the most common claims the Shia was making, and I'll expose the stupidity with this claim. The claim he was making was that all of the studies I brought are not testing for single authorship for Hadith, and therefore I cannot use them as evidence. This was his claim. Here is a simple logical problem with this claim. A particular study cannot test for single authorship without testing for multiple authorship at the same time. And a study cannot test for multiple authorship without testing for single authorship at the same time. Why? Because the test can give two possible results. Suppose a study is testing for one authorship. It can give two possible results. Either the answer is yes, in case it proves one authorship, or the answer is no, it proves multiple authorships. And if we change the thing over around, the same problem would apply when testing for multiple authorships. You cannot test for one authorship alone, and you cannot test for multiple authorships alone. Both of these have to be tested at the same time. The reason is falsifiability, because if you're not testing, the reason is due to necessity and falsifiability. Because for something to test, right? For a test to happen, there has to be falsifiability. If one authorship is falsified, there is multiple authorship. If multiple authorship is falsified, there is one authorship. There is no way around this. I made this point again and again in the debate, in the YouTube comments of his video, and on Twitter. He never responded to this, not once. And I would ask him to respond to this. Next, we'll move on to another contention the Shia was making. Here was his contention. All of the studies I'm using are analyzing similarities and differences, and they are not evidence. There is a problem with this. All authorship tests, literally every single authorship test, all it does is analyze similarity and differences. Like when it's done on biblical scholarship, when it's done on random articles, when it's done on Shakespeare, anytime authorships are done, they are necessarily analyzing similarities and differences. My interlocutor never responded to this point. I made this again and again multiple times on multiple places. He never responded to this. The only response he attempted to give was that similarity does not absolutely certainly prove authorship. Here is the response to this. All matters of history, and this the point I'm making, will be basically every Western historian will agree with it. Bart Evan says this, Sean Anthony says this, even Little will say this. Everyone will agree with this. All history is based on probability, not absolute certainty. And to be honest, the fact that the Shia is demanding absolute certainty in this regard is just showing his desperation, because he is coming up with a criteria that no historian, even the ones that he follows, will not take. That is how pathetic his position is, and he never responded. I made this point, he never responded to this. I would ask him to respond to this fact. Next argument I made for historical reliability of Hadith, and for this particular argument. Like I showed earlier, Halim Sayoud, the Algerian scholar, did numerous different tests for historical reliability of Hadith and basically authorship of Quran and Hadith. And all those different tests, multiple lines of evidence, they showed that Hadith have one author. Why is this evidence? Because this is how things work in science. Why do we believe the Big Bang happened? Because there are multiple independent lines of evidence supporting that. Why do atheists argue for evolution, or how do they argue for evolution? They claim that there are multiple lines of evidence supporting it. There aren't actually, but this is how the logic of their argument works. In the case of stylometry and these hadiths having one author, I have given multiple independent lines of evidence. This is something my interlocutor never responded to, and I would ask him to respond to this point. He didn't respond to this in the debate. I brought it up multiple times. He never responded to it. Now, the last point, another point in this regard, here's what my interlocutor was trying to argue again and again, that when I'm bringing all of these experts in stylometry, the burden of proof is on me to show these experts are right, or these studies are right, or these academics are right, not him. It's not. When you are arguing against experts of a particular field, specifically, especially a complicated field like stylometry, or basically most sciences in this regard, the burden of proof is on you when challenging experts. This is just a fact, because he's not an expert on stylometry. I'm not an expert on stylometry, right? I have not studied computer and engineering. I'm not sure if he has done that, and IT and software engineering and all of these that are related to stylometry. I don't have burden of proof in this regard. When he's challenging expert, he has burden of proof. And to be honest, to prove this point and just to address another contention, another point that he dodged, he never addressed this point, by the way. I'll do a comparison here. He's challenging the academic experts on stylometry. Well, in the debate and in journal, I challenge Orientalists, right? So you can say I am employing a double standard here, in that in terms of Orientalists, I don't take burden of proof, but in terms of stylometry, I am expecting him to take burden of proof, and this is something I thought that he could use as a contention, but he never did. Even after I told him that this is a contention he can use, he never used this contention. What is the response to all of this? It's not that I'm, with regards to myself and Orientalists, it's not that I'm avoiding burden of proof regarding them being incompetent. I'm actually taking the burden of proof. I am giving an argument, an independent argument why Orientalists are unreliable. And the argument is very simple. I've repeated this again and again. If you look at biblical scholarship, They are in a similar place to Christianity in relation to Christianity as Orientalists are to Islam, right? You will see that biblical scholars like Bart Ehrman, Dale Allison, Dale Martin, John Dominic Crossan, and others are constantly willing and able to defend their arguments against Christians. Whether you think their arguments succeed or not, at least you have to agree that they are debating and defending their arguments. This is not the case with Orientalists. They never debate and defend their claims against Muslims. Right? This is a fact. If Orientalists are not able to defend their claims, while other similar scholars are able to defend, are able and willing to defend their claims, why should anyone take Orientalists seriously? Right? This is an argument I am giving to show why Orientalists are unreliable. When I am challenging these experts, the Orientalist, I have the burden of proof. When the Shia is challenging the stylometry experts, he has the burden of proof. The difference between myself and him is that I am meeting my burden of proof with an argument. What he is doing is dodging his burden of proof. This is why his position is garbage and he never responded to this point in the debate or on Twitter. Now I'll do another comparison regarding challenging experts because this will come up regarding myself and evolutionary biologists. Many will claim that I challenge evolution and that I do not take burden of proof against evolutionary biologists. Here is a simple fact, it might seem counterintuitive to you, but it's true actually. When it comes to topics regarding their field, for instance like biogeography, the fossil record, phylogenetic trees, and others, I never challenge evolutionary biologists. In fact, I always give references from them on the data and the science. We agree. I agree with evolutionary biologists. The disagreement is on the interpretation of the data or the philosophical interpretation of data that they are making. But in terms of the data as well, of the facts regarding biogeography and the fossil record, etc., I never challenge evolutionary biologists. I always agree on them because those are hard facts that you can actually see with your eyes, and on those things like the scientific arguments count. It's just when they do philosophy, their arguments are worthless. So you don't get a comparison between myself and the Shia here on multiple levels. Now, there are two more points I'll make in this regard. Firstly, when I made this argument, this particular argument regarding burden of proof in the debate and on Twitter, the Shia never responded to this. Ask him to respond to this point. He utterly dodged this multiple times. Lastly, I want to address the fact of lack of expertise in stylometry. I am not an expert in stylometry. He is not an expert in stylometry. What he is doing is trying to shift the burden of proof so that I have to prove everything regarding stylometry and the expertise in it and its methods. I don't need to do that. When you are challenging academic, especially unbiased academic, that there is no reason to think of as biased, you have burden of proof. Literally, when you're challenging, and even if you forget the point about bias, because you can forget the point about bias in my case with Orientalists and evolutionists. Forget the point about bias. When you are challenging academics, you have burden of proof. I am meeting my burden of proof and the Shia isn't. He wants to waste time discussing the finer details or technical details of stylometry, but his opinion on it is worthless and mine is worthless because neither of us are experts on this topic. When I am bringing experts who are bringing peer-reviewed papers which are published in international journals and are co-authored in many cases, the burden of proof is on the person arguing against it, just as the burden of proof, so the burden of proof is on the Shia. He is trying to deny this and dodge the point I am making, but denial and desperation won't change reality. And this is something that he still has dodged again and again and that he has to respond to. Now, another point the Shia made was that the differences between Sahih and fabricated hadith, the stylometric differences between Sahih and fabricated hadith do not prove that hadith, do not prove conclusively that hadiths are from one author. I did not use these differences for this point. Here was my argument. The argument was that if Sahih hadiths if all hadiths are fabricated, as Shias and Orientalists claim, right? As Orientalists claim, and all Sunni hadiths are fabricated as the Shia claim, then Sahih hadith and fabricated hadith should be stylometrically similar. This is clear cut because they are all fabricated in a unique linguistic style. They are not similar, they are extremely different. Therefore, Sunni hadiths were not fabricated in one unique linguistic style. This is the argument based on Sahih and fabricated hadiths. This is something the Shia never responded to. Now, what is the importance of this fact? Again, as I stated earlier, this is the criteria that Orientalists set themselves. The fact this argument meets the criteria that Orientalists set themselves makes this such a powerful argument for historical reliability of hadith. Now I'll go to another topic, and it's an important one. The Shia was claiming in the debate that Sunnis primarily or mainly narrated hadith in meaning only. They did not narrate hadith verbatim from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, these hadiths cannot have one author. Therefore, my argument fails. Here is a simple fact, and this is the Sunni approach. Sunnis narrated hadith both ways, in terms of meaning and word for word. You can find the reference for this in Mustafa Al-Azmi's book, Studies in Hadith Methodology and Literature. I think that's the name of the book. It's 130 pages long. I think about on page 80, it references Imam Shafi and other scholars where it mentions that the Riwaya bil Mana or in meaning is one of the methods of narration, and another method of narration is word for word, verbatim. Both methods are used. So you can't just say all hadiths were transmitted in meaning only. That claim is garbage. Another point in this regard the Shia made is that there are long hadiths in Sahih Bukhari, or there are long Sunni hadiths in general that are massively long, that are necessarily in meaning because they are so different everywhere, right? This argument does not apply on extremely long hadiths that are in meaning. Most of the hadiths, the vast majority of hadiths, are not very long. They are short stories like the ones I'm mentioning right now. I woke up, I ate breakfast, I went to work, and then I bought some clothes. I came home for dinner and then I slept. This is a short 2-3 line story, right? Most hadiths are short and of this length. These hadiths clearly can be verbatim, and there is absolutely no issue with this. This argument will apply on short hadiths like this. It won't apply on very long hadiths like this. Very long hadiths, because those are due to multiple reasons clearly in meaning, not verbatim. So this argument for the Shia is dead. Next, the Shia made a claim that at least half of Bukhari is transmitted in meaning, not verbatim. He didn't give a reference for this. I asked him for a reference for this multiple times and he never gave it. So I'll ask him again, give a reference for this. So this basically addresses every single thing in the debate. Now I'll do another thing. I will show how stylometry is applied to a particular Shia book, Nahj al-Balagha, and why, even despite it showing one author, the position of Bukhari is superior to Nahj al-Balagha. So this is a study that I've linked here. You can read this link. This is from the same authors who did one of the two studies on difference between Sahih and fabricated hadith. They showed that Nahj al-Balagha, the words there have one author, and that this one author is not the person to whom, the two people to whom Nahj al-Balagha is normally ascribed. And they basically run the same argument that I am running for Sahih Bukhari hadith being words of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? So this shows two things. This shows one thing, that the argument I am making, its logic is clear cut, it's academic, and the same logic is used in other cases by different academics, right? You can't deny these facts, these are there. So the question is, how do I deal with Nahj al-Balagha, and why does Bukhari have advantage over it? Well, there are two reasons. Here is a simple fact. There are certain hadiths in Sahih Bukhari that were written in works, verbatim in words, before Imam Bukhari was even born. An example of this is Muwatta Malik. There are there are hundreds of hadiths in Muwatta Malik that are word for word present in Bukhari, right? So in terms of Nahj al-Balagha, in terms of Sahih Bukhari, we can clearly show that these hadiths exist before Imam Bukhari was even born. In case of Nahj al-Balagha, we cannot do that. Even if Huvi Sunni claims is the author of this work, his words differ from Nahj al-Balagha, we cannot still show that these words that are present in Nahj al-Balagha predate the book itself. In terms of Sahih Bukhari, we can clearly and explicitly show these words, the hadith in the same words predate Bukhari because they are present in works before Imam Bukhari was even born. There's another massive problem with Nahj al-Balagha. They are linguistic problems. The words used there are extremely different from the words of Hadith or words of books in 7th and 8th century. So, and the reference for this is in the IslamQA.org article that I've given here. So, even for linguistic reasons, we can challenge that Nahj al-Balagha is the words of Hazrat Ali Razi Allah. So, again, I think the argument I'm making is clear cut why the position of Bukhari is far superior to that of Nahj al-Balagha despite similar stylometric done work being done on both books. So just to recap, again, I think I've proven my work clearly. The references are from references from peer-reviewed mainstream academics on stylometry that hadiths of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ have one author and that there is simply no way around this argument. I have also gone through multiple 6 or 7 contentions that the Shia was making in the debate that he never responded to, and I've given my responses here, and I'm asking him to respond to these specific points that I mentioned. Lastly, I've done is shown that stylometry being applied on a Shia book by academics who are using the same logic as my argument, so no one can challenge the logic of my argument as being something unacademic or deeply flawed. Also, I've shown why stylometry as application to Sahih Bukhari is superior to its application to Nahj al-Balagha for multiple reasons. Inshallah, if you have enjoyed the work and enjoy my content and benefit from it, you can support me by buying my book on historical reliability of Hadith or buying my book on the existence of God. I recommend you check out both books. The existence of God is not being bought by many people, but trust me, that book is a masterpiece and you will not regret reading it. It is as good as the Hadith book, and I've spent a lot of time on it. You can support me by buying both books. All of the reference and basically this presentation will be linked in the video description, so you can check the references for yourself. Uh, as for the debate, like future debates with other Shias and Brethren of Purity, here is a simple point I'm making. I will not debate Brethren of Purity on stylometry unless and until it's on his YouTube channel, and even then, I won't do a very long debate because, to be honest, I am satisfied with the debate and everything that's happened so far. I think that's sufficient to prove my point. If he wants to debate stylometry, we can do it on his YouTube channel or another YouTube channel where people can see the references at the same time, but not otherwise. But I also want to debate him on a lot of other topics in regard to Hadith reliability. I'll if he wants to debate on stylometry, I think first we will do the debates on other points regarding Hadith reliability, and we can do that on Clubhouse like he was requesting. I don't have an issue with that, and probably we would have to do multiple debates on Clubhouse because those topics are so expensive. But if Brethren of Purity wants to debate stylometry again, I don't want to debate it again, but if he wants to debate it, I will debate him on this topic. I'll do a short debate on its topic, not a long one like the last time. I'll do a short debate if he wants, but it will be only on either his YouTube channel or another YouTube channel, not otherwise. Inshallah, I hope you have enjoyed this debate review. Till next time, Assalamu alaikum.